Happy Sunday, you all, or whatever day it is that you are viewing this. Good day to you all. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to those who are new. If you don't already know, I am Trinice L. Jackson, the L is for Latoya. If you have yet to subscribe to my channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the post notification bell so that you all will be notified when I upload new content. If you like what you hear, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, keep your like to yourself, for yourself, and save it for another day. I think I told you all in my last video here on YouTube that it doesn't matter the position I hold in your life. It doesn't matter the position you hold in my life. I can be your mother, your sister, your daughter, your niece, your cousin, your bestie, your significant other. If the content does not vibe with you, or you don't vibe with my content, keep your like to yourself and remain true to yourselves. Because as I told you all before, if you do not remain true to you, more than likely others will not remain true to you, with the exception of a few people. I'm always going to be about dismantling the quotes that we've heard all our lives. I know that we've heard sometimes that, I'm all about self-love, you all. I'm going to always talk about self-love. I know we've always heard that you can't love somebody else before you love yourself. That's not necessarily true. I mean, I know I go against the grain sometimes with some of the things I say, but one thing about my message is you cannot be a surface thinker. I said this on Facebook some weeks ago, I think about 2 Sundays ago, that you cannot sometimes be, well, with me, you cannot be a surface thinker. I'm not saying that all of the people that view my videos are surface thinkers. Just in general, with me, with my messages, not that I'm so deep, because I'm not, but you sometimes have to dig a little deeper to understand where I'm coming from, because I am not the average person. Well, I'm not going to say the average person. Let me be careful with my words, because sometimes people take your words and they internalize them, and they pick up something that's not what I'm, they pick up something that I'm not talking about or what I mean. But sometimes sometimes my messages may not exactly be what people are used to hearing from the collective or from people as a whole, because I'm just not who I am. I'm unique in all my ways. Like, everybody has their own ways, their own unique ways. I'm just unique in all my ways, y'all. I'm just different. I've always been different. I'm going to always be different. Anyway, that has nothing to do with my message. God finally released me from the codependency talk, y'all. I'm so happy. You probably all are happy too. You probably got tired of hearing about codependency. Some of you all that's probably just viewing my videos say, well, does this girl talk about anything else? I do. If you go back and you look at some of my videos, I talk about a little bit of this, that, and the other. There are always going to be spiritual messages. There are always going to be some form of motivational messages. I'm not diving into politics and things of that nature. I'm going to always be on the path that God gave me. And that's going to tie into my message actually on today. I talked a little bit about, well, I think, this is my 3rd video. I'm going to be honest. And people know I'm not one to do videos over and over. But I found myself the last few videos doing them over and over. This is my 3rd one. I don't know what happened the first one. The second one, I had to turn my air on because I thought I can get through this video without my air. I have these hot flashes, probably too much information, but it's life, it's reality. It's what women go through when they're about to go through menopause. I'm in that perimenopausal stage, so I have hot flashes. One minute I'm hot, the next minute I'm a little bit chilly. Right now I'm starting to feel a little bit chilly, but I was just hot a couple minutes ago and I had to stop the video. So I'm just going to try to get through this video, hot, cold, what have you. But anyway, God released me from, I was saying, I don't know if I said this in the beginning of this video because I'm on my 3rd one, but God finally released me from codependency. But one thing I'm going to always talk about is detachment. I'm always going to tell people to detach from people, places, and things that are not serving your highest good. Once you detach from those things, you are actually serving your highest good. You're actually doing a good thing for your own life. You are on the road to recovery when you detach from things that are keeping you stuck, stagnant, and confused. So on a few weeks ago on Facebook, I don't know if I put it on. I actually put it on Facebook, my personal page, because I felt like everybody needs to hear this message that I'm going to talk about today. Most people that's on my personal page, well, I can't say most, maybe about 20% of the people follow my Love and Reciprocity page on Facebook. So I did post something on my personal page talking about and I also put it, well, I did a status on my personal page. I did like a little quote or what have you on Instagram, Love and Reciprocity, and Facebook, Love and Reciprocity. And I said that, are you the Judas in your circle? How not to be a Judas. And I know people probably wasn't happy about that. You know how people are. People are who they are. And that's great. Always be who you are. Remain true to yourself always and forever. And one thing we have to know that, I just want to be clear that I'm not saying people I know are a Judas, but everyone has a Judas in their circle for sure. Trust and believe me. So Judas was not the one who pulled the trigger, so to speak, but he did betray Jesus. And I'm not going to get into that whole message. If you want to hear about that message, I might talk a little bit about it, but if you want to hear that message, I did a message probably about a year ago, actually, and I talked about pushing past the betrayal so that you can walk in the victory. And in that video, I talked a little bit about the most significant form of betrayal. It came, the person who really set the bar really high was Judas when he betrayed Jesus. Because of why? Because of greed. Because he was greedy for money. And I know that some of you all may feel that, okay, now she's saying God released her from codependency because of this stuff that happened with the young lady in Cabo, Miss Robinson. I heard her name pronounced so many different ways, so I don't want to butcher her name. I heard like Shaquilla. I heard so many different names, so I'm going to respectfully refer to her as Miss Robinson. The lady, the incident that happened in Cabo, the murder that happened in Cabo. Some of you all, I know how some people think. Some people just think so negatively when it comes to certain things that people say and do. And you may say, well, now God released her from the codependency talk because of this thing that happened in Cabo. No, absolutely 100% not. He had started releasing me from that a few weeks ago when I started talking about old shoes, new shoes, and walking in the shoes that God gifted you rather than the shoes that someone else gifted you or presented to you. So he had already started releasing me from that codependency talk. And so one thing about Trinice L. Jackson, I will never, ever jump on the bandwagon of anyone else's. Why? Because God gives me what to talk about. I don't have to take from somebody else or a situation that's going on over there. I could talk about it because God, one thing about God, he gives me things to talk about, whatever, I could talk about it. But that's not why. I just want to make that clear. I don't want people thinking, some people just, their mind is just so negative when it comes to certain things that people do. Certain people, not everybody, certain people, and they just think that way for whatever reason. But that has a lot to do, again, with my message on today. Knowing how not to be a Judas. Now, I've always said that I cannot talk about something that I have never been a part of or something I've never experienced. I've never been a Judas. I'll never be a Judas. But I can tell you how not to be a Judas. Why? Because I've never been one. So just follow me, and I'm going to tell you how not to be a Judas. Don't be offended by that. Some people don't know. When I say don't be a Judas, I simply mean some of us are embodying the traits of a Judas. I simply mean betrayal, because again, Judas wasn't the one that killed Jesus. He offered him up. He was the mastermind behind it. But what I wanted to talk about is this, knowing who you are. That's everything in a nutshell, you all. Knowing who you are. When you know who you are, when you know who God purposed you to be, when you know the plans that God has for you, you will actually separate yourself from the mentality of a Judas or a person who is a person who's jealous or envious. There's a difference. There's a difference between being envious and jealous. Some of us are embodying that envious spirit and being jealous of what your friend or even your siblings have, and that person have. Your coworker get a raise on the job and get a promotion. You feeling a little bit envious because you felt like, why her and not me, or why him and not me. Some of us are, I told you all before in my video, not on YouTube. I did a video on Instagram. Was I on? Yes, I was back on Facebook back in the summer when I said I was going to take some time off from YouTube, and I did my video on being stuck in a valley. I don't quite remember how I named it or how I titled it, but I talked about when you are climbing the hill to success, or climbing the hill to wherever you want to be in life, and you have somebody that's climbing that same hill with you, and you get to the hilltop and you look and you say, Mama, I made it. And that's a blessing, because you made it where you wanted to be in life. And the person that's on the left of you and or on the right of you, they make it to the hilltop with you and say, look, Mama, I made it as well. But listen, I got other things that I need to do in this life. So I need to get to the mountaintop. But before I get to the mountaintop, that means I have to get past the valley. And I talked about the valley being a stream of water. And listen, I don't know how to swim. I mean, I'm 47. I don't know how to swim. I mean, thank God my boys do. I didn't learn how to swim, but they did. And you go down that hill and you get to the valley, and you have to cross that valley to get to the mountaintop, and you get stuck because you don't know how to swim. And I told you all that God will send help for you. I'm not going to go into that whole story again about the lady on the rooftop and things of that nature, but God will send help to you. But what I simply mean by that, some of us get upset and jealous and envious of a person who has bypassed us in life. Because why? They went after what they wanted. So I want to talk a little bit about the situation in Kabul. We don't know the backstory. Not that we really need a backstory. We know that what happened to that young lady was wrong. It was murder. They're going to pay. Even if I read something where one was arrested. They issued an arrest warrant, and then you can't believe everything you see on social media. So I didn't actually look it up or Google it or see it on the news where the young lady has actually been arrested. The one who supposedly did the murder. They all are guilty, if you ask me. But I'm not here to talk about that in totality. I'm just here to pull out some things, what I've gathered from what I've read. And what happened was, this was a young lady, 25 years old, doing her thing in life, started traveling the world, y'all. Had her own business, and you had a group of friends who were envious, or a few people that was envious. And actually, let me stop that, because I said that there's a difference between being envious and jealous. Jealousy turns into hate. The reason that people walk around envious and jealous of others, because you don't know who you are. I said that. That's that in a nutshell. When you don't know who you are, you begin to covet what other people have, because you don't know the plans that God has for you. One of the reasons we don't know our purpose in this life, one of the reasons we don't know the plans that God has for us, is because we are disconnected from God. This is why I'll never push religion, but I will push the relationship with God, or I'll push the relationship with whomever you feel is your higher source of strength. Whoever you feel is your higher being, that's who it is. I'm not here to argue with anybody. I'm so respectful of everyone and what they believe in. You can believe in whatever you want. It does not hurt me. I'm respectful, because what? Guess what? I'm going to love you regardless of what? Of what your religion, your background, your creed, whatever it is. Shanice L. Jackson is always going to be respectful of it. Why? Because I expect the same thing for me, for what I believe in. However, some of us, and I talked a little bit about this in a video, talking about people being stuck and shelved their gifts because they got into a situation where they felt like they needed to tend to the situation before they can move forward in what God has told them to do, or what he has purpose for them to do. And I likened it to the TV. You get a beautiful, beautiful TV and you mount it on your wall professionally. You don't have to do it. When I got my TV mounted, I had to call somebody, and they came in and you don't see any wires hanging, and the TV was sitting pretty and everything, and you get this TV and you have it mounted professionally and it's sitting pretty, and you never take the plug and plug it into the outlet so that you can power it on. This is the same thing, that when we are disconnected from God, we don't know how he wants us to live and how he wants us to function, and how God has set the standard for our lives. But because we are disconnected from him, we don't know what he wants for us. Therefore, we don't know who we are. When you don't know who God is, it's impossible to know who you truly are. When you know who you are, you will begin to walk in self-love, practice self-love. You will begin to walk in the power vested in you by God. We are all, I told you this, I think in my last video, that God has given us all a measure of power. You just have to learn to operate in that power. In order to operate in that power, you have to know who you are. You have to know that you come from royalty. You have to know that God has a plan for your life. This is why some people look at other people and want what they have, because they don't know what God has for them. I will never, and I've never been a person to ever look on to somebody else and say, I wish I had what they had. Because number one, you don't know what it took to get what they have. You don't know what it is to keep maintaining what they have. Some of us want what other people have. Is not meant for you. What's not for you will never be for you. What's for me is for me. What's for you is for you. Talked about this before. It's okay to be inspired by somebody else's life, but you have to walk in your own shoes, you all. And it goes back to my message on last week or 2 weeks ago when I talked about walking in the shoes someone else gifted you, because now you are actually living the life that they have set in place for you rather than the life that God has planned for you. It's the same thing. Listen, if I wear size 8 in shoes, I wish I wore a size 8 in clothing, but anyway, that's another story. I wear size 8 in shoes, depending on the cut of the shoes. Sometimes an 8.5, depending, like I said. And you might have another person who wears size 8 in shoes. We might get the same pair of shoes. We both put on the same size. Put on the same pair of shoes, but our stride is going to be different. Why? Because God has a plan and he has a purpose for each and every one of us. Our purpose in life is not going to be the same. They can be very similar in nature, but they're not the same. So this is why it's important that you have to know who you are. Know who you are so that you can live the life that God has for you, not the life, because what happens is when we wear the shoes that somebody else presented us and or we're trying to walk in the shoes of somebody else, we're going to keep falling down. And it might you might get to a place where you won't be able to get up. God is always going to be there to help you up. But when you don't know who you are, you're going to continuously repeat the same mistakes over and over and over. Those women and the men in Cabo, they were jealous. I don't like to get into this whole thing about the story in Cabo because none of us were there. We've seen bits and pieces of the video. They're saying that the final blow came from another young lady that did something. I don't know. But obviously they were jealous of this young lady. I keep hearing and seeing on Facebook, some people that I don't know who the influencer was who came up with the terminology secret animosity. And I've seen everybody pick up that terminology and run with it. Everything I see, secret animosity. Some people put it in quotes, and I guess to let people know that they didn't actually say it. Secret animosity, all it is, let's call a spade a spade. It's jealousy. And what happens is when you have that jealous spirit, it will turn into hate. We know that hate can lead you down a path of darkness. Well, when you hate somebody, you're already in darkness, because we know hate is from what? The devil. Love and light is from what? God. So my message is on today, when you know who you are, you have to know who you are in this life. This is why I keep talking about it. When you know who you are, you can walk in confidence. I wake up every day knowing who Trinice L. Jackson is. I don't wake up every day and say, let me go and see what this person is doing. What can I do that's like them? No, because I know who I am. When I wake up every single day, I'm walking in confidence. I'm walking in power. Self-love or over me. I'm glowing. I mean, the ring light has a lot to do with it. Also, I use Body Cafe Body Butter by Tiffany Perry. She's not Tiffany Perry on social media. I don't quite know. Sorry, Tiff. I don't know how to pronounce that name. But Body Cafe, you can find her. I'm glowing because I know who I am. I'm humble, but I'm confident. Because why? Because I know who God made me to be. And I'm walking in the shoes that God gifted me. I'm not walking in the shoes somebody else gifted me. I'm not walking in the shoes of somebody else. There are a lot of people out here that can inspire you. Be who you are. Be who God called you to be. And in that life, you will begin. And another thing is, you have to go after what you want. I always talked about this. God is a miracle worker. He is a way maker. He will make a way for you. But you have to put in the work. Put in the work so you can see the fruit of your labor. I promise you, things are not going to fall from the sky. I mean, there's some people who are, guys, there's some favor in some people's lives. And we hear people saying favor's not fair. Favor's not fair. And some people have been handed, things in life. But if you know that people are not handing you things, you have to work for what you want. And know that God has given us all gifts. We are not going to, some of our gifts are very similar in nature, but we're not going to all deliver them the same way. There's a lot of people that can get up here and talk and be inspirational. How I come before you and I talk about inspirational things. I try to motivate you and all. And somebody else will come with a very similar message. But it may reach more people. Because that's the purpose that God has. That's why I often say on here and on Facebook, even if it's just one or two people that can be touched by what I'm saying, my job has been done. Because guess what? Somebody else may be able to take what I'm saying and share it with others. And they may be able to reach the masses. But I can't, but that's the plan of God. That's the purpose that I'm here for. I may only be here to help a few people. But I'm doing what I'm called to do, and I'm very confident in what I do. Because why? Because I'm walking in the shoes that God gifted me. I'm walking in my purpose. I'm sharing my gifts. I'm living my life according to how God has set up my blueprint. I'm on schedule. I'm on schedule now. I fell off a little bit. I talked about that before. But I'm walking in my path. I'm walking in my purpose. Why? Because I know who I am. You have to know who you are. This will alleviate. This will allow you not to be a Judas. Now, Judas, understand his story. He was just greedy. Some of us need to get this right too. This is not a quote. This is scripture. A lot of us saying, no, see, I know the scripture, so now I may misquote the scripture trying to tell you how some of you all say it. People say money is the root of all. Yeah, a lot of people say money is the root of evil, is the root of all evil. It's the love of money. And when that love, they're talking about the greed aspect of it. Greedy, because of greed, because he wanted money, he offered up his brethren. His friend. Remember that Judas was his disciple. So he walked with him. He talked with him. He ate with him. He prayed with him. And it's the same thing as some of us, because we are coveting. We are wanting what one of our friends have. We begin to look at them with the side eye. Secretly not liking them. And that's what the person talking about, secret animosity. But what it is jealousy. And what happens when you walk in the spirit of jealousy, or you possess the spirit of jealousy, if you don't get that thing under control, if that thing is not delivered from you, if you don't give up, if you don't know who you are, you'll continue, and that thing is going to grow. That seed is going to grow. And I told you all, anything that happens in the spiritual realm is going to manifest in the natural realm. And that's what happened with the lady in Cabo. She had this hatred and this anger on the inside and jealous of this young lady, and it manifested into something greater until she murdered her, until she killed her. And some of us got to be careful. It's not always going to be a physical death. It's not going to always be a physical death. And no, people say, well, I'm not a Judas. Remember, at the Last Supper, he called them out. He said, somebody at this table is going to betray me. And they all looked at each other and said, not me. Not me, God, Lord, not me, not me. And that's what I'm talking about, that some of you all don't know that you are carrying the traits of a Judas. That jealousy, that you thinking that is fleeting. Envy, being envious of somebody, it's not good. It's fleeting. It comes and goes. And somebody, I told you before, somebody get a raise and you feel like you more deserving of that raise, and you feel a little, why her, not me? But jealousy is something totally different. So go after what you want in this life, so that you don't have to want what somebody else have. Now, hear me out. There are people that have a lot in this life and still want what somebody else have. That you got to go to God and ask God for deliverance. Get to know who God is. That's the whole thing in a nutshell. Getting to know who God is so that you can know who you are, so you don't have to want what other people have. You can go after what you want in this life. That's my message on today. I said I wasn't going to rush my message. I don't feel like I did. I'm very passionate, so I probably got a little bit loud. Yeah, I may have to turn your volumes down just a tad bit, because I'm a morning person now. I've always been a morning person, always. But anyway, so I'm a little hyped in the morning. That's all I was going to say. But anyway, that is my message on today, you all. How not to be a Judas. I know I didn't go into that a whole lot. That wasn't the focus of, the focus was knowing who you are. But when you know who you are, you will not want to be like others. You will begin to seek out your own potentials. You'll begin to seek out your own purpose. God already laid it out for you. It's there. It's there. But like the TV on the wall, it will just lie dormant if you never plug the TV in. Now hear me out. Even once you plug that TV in into the wall and the current allows the TV to come on, you have to read the manual to get the best benefits out of the TV. It's the same thing with God. When you read the word, you get to know what God wants for you in this life. You get to know how he wants you to live. There's a standard that he has for each and every one of us. There's a standard. And when I say a standard, he wants us all to live a certain way. Now, don't get me wrong. Like I said, we all have a different purpose in this life. So, you know, your walk is not going to be the same as Susan, or your walk is not going to be the same as Tracy. Your walk is not going to be the same as Bill. Your walk is not going to be the same as Tom. You could be very similar in nature, but have two totally different strides in this life. Why? Because God gifted you your own shoes to walk in. So make sure you are walking in the shoes that God gifted you, not the shoes that someone else gifted you. Make sure you are not walking in the shoes, the footsteps of somebody else. Because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work because that's not what God has for you. What he has for you is for you, and it's going to always be for you. You have to go after it. You have to go after it. You can't be upset and angry because somebody else is walking in their gifts, sharing their gifts, and going after what they want in this life. You can't be that way. Know who you are. Know who God made you to be. And that's that one today. Have a wonderful Sunday, you all. I feel super happy because I'm just talking now. Because I'm not scoping anymore. Well, that's what we call court reporters. I'm not editing, I should tell you all. I know you guys don't understand scoping, but I'm not editing anymore. I have taken on a couple jobs that, you know, I felt like I might be overwhelming the lady, my friend Jackie, who's doing the editing for me. So I said, let me just hold back a few jobs and do them on my own, and I'll give somebody else get somebody else to proofread them. But for the most part, when I'm done with work, I take my little nap. And that's that. And I feel good. I feel like I'm getting my life back. So anyway, enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the week to come. And welcome to a new week, because it's Sunday officially starts a new week. I know we always say Monday because it starts the work week for most of us. But until next time, you all have a great week.